Right. So today we are going to discuss about Java arrays and strings concept. So let's start with the Java arrays concept. What is a Java array and why we need to use Java array? Let us see. So far we have done with the normal variables and data types, how to use looping statements and conditional statements in Java, right? So let us just start with the variable. So if you want to define a variable, right, how we will define? First we say data type and then a variable name, and then we will assign some value here like this, right? So here int is a data type, a is a variable, 10 is a value. So if I define like this, a is a variable which can hold only single value at a time. Suppose if you want to change this value, I can just reassign the new value like this. Suppose here a is equal to 20, if I say, whatever we have assigned previously, that value will be gone and the new value will be reassigned. Okay. Preeti, can you check your mic system? I hope everyone is able to hear me. Okay, fine. Okay, great. So here, if I define a variable like this, we can store only one value at a time. And if I assign a new value, the old value will be replaced. Okay, this is a variable. Sometimes we have a requirement like we can store multiple values into a single variable. Okay, suppose I have 100 employees are working in an organization, so I want to store those details as a names or some their IDs. So I need to create 100 variables, right, for every employee. So instead of creating those many number of IDs or variables, I can just create a one variable which can hold number of values. Okay, so how it is possible? It is possible through array concept. Okay, so what is an array? Array is a variable which contains or it can store multiple values of same data type. Okay, so array is, this is a definition of array. Array is collection of elements of same data type. So we can store multiple elements or multiple values into a single variable. That's called as an array. So how we can declare an array in Java? So normally if I want to declare a variable, we'll say data type, variable name, and some value like this. But if it is an array, we have to define like this: just a data type, variable name, and two brackets, square brackets, and equal to new, again data type and bracket, and here we need to say how many values we are going to store. So let's say if I have 5 here, so I can store 5 different values into this particular variable. Okay, this is array declaration. So let us see how we can work with these arrays and all, how we can store the values, how we can read the values, all these things. But first, array is a collection of elements or values of a same data type, and element should be same data type. In Java, there are two types of arrays. I will write this again. So there are two types of arrays. Two types of arrays. One is single dimensional array. Single dimensional array. A second one is two-dimensional or multi-dimensional array. Two-dimensional or multi-dimensional array. So these are the two types of arrays we have. So first let us start with single dimensional array. How to declare single dimensional array, how to store the values, how to read the values, all these kinds of operations we can do. So first let us start with single dimensional array. Single dimensional array. So in single dimensional array we will see different kinds of operations. The first thing is how to declare an array. How to declare a single dimensional array. And once we declare, how to insert values. How to insert values into array. How to insert multiple values into array, that we are going to see. And suppose there are some values already present in array. I want to find how many values are there in this particular array. That means how to find a length of an array, size of an array. So that's the next thing. How to find size means how many elements we have in this array. Find size of an array. And at the last we will see how to read values from array. Read values from array. So let's see all these operations. First, how to declare an array, inserting values into array, how to find size of an array, and how to read values from array. So first let us see how we can declare an array. So if you want to declare a single dimensional array, there are two different ways. The first thing is we'll declare like this: int, that's a data type, array name. So variable name can be anything. It's an array name. Just a moment. Okay, so int is a data type, a is a variable name, and we say bracket equal to new is a keyword. So with this we have to create. Again, one more time, specify the data type, and in here you can just say number of values. If I say 5, I can store 5 elements. Okay, so this is basically size, and we can also define this array in other way. Int, okay, so a, and this bracket can be there before itself like this. So this bracket can be there after variable name or before variable name. Again, new int, and again I can say size here. So this is other way of declaration. So either you can follow the first way or second way, both are correct. So this array we have created with the number of values. So size must be specified here. So if I say 5, we can store 5 different values inside the A, but all 5 different values will be the same data type. So when I say int here, we can store only int values. If I say a string here, I can say only strings. If I say float here, we can store only decimal numbers. Okay, that's the definition, or that's the declaration of array. Fine. So let's see how we can do all kinds of operations through programs. So this is the declaration of array, syntax of an array. So how this will work internally, how it will store elements internally. So if I create an array like this, if I say data type is int, is array name, and this is a bracket equal to new int of, I'll say size is equal to 5. So internally, whenever I say 5 here, it will internally allocate 5 different locations into memory. So let's say 5 different locations, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different locations it will be created. So this name of array is A. Okay, so in every location we need to store a value. But how we can store the value and how we can access this value. So every location is identified or accessed by an index number. Okay, so every location is having an index number. Let's say index is start from 0. So this first location index is 0. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. So if I say 5 is a size, okay, the starting index will be 0. The last index will be 4. That means n minus 1. If I say size is equal to n, the last index number will be n minus 1 because the index is start from 0. It will count from 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. But overall, we can store 5 elements. From 0 to 4, we can store 5 elements. So every location is identified with index number. But how we can store the values inside this? Suppose when I say how to refer this location, array name, in the bracket we say index number. Suppose if I say a of 0, this will point to the first location. And if I say a of 4, it will point to the fourth location. And similarly, if I say a of 2, it will point to the second location. So this is how we can just refer these locations by using index number. This is called index number. Okay, and even if you want to store the values, or if you want to read the values, all these things we can do based on index number. Okay, this is how internally array will store. Now let us see how we can do these kind of operations, how to declare an array, how to insert the values, how to read the values, how to find the size of an array through programmatically. So now I will create a program here, Java program, and today I will create a new package day 4. So now let's create a new class. I will name is a single dimension array. Single dimension array. Let's take a main method. Fine. So here first I will create an array, declare an array first. How to declare an array? So we have a many ways to declare an array. So the first approach is this one. I'll show you all the stuff. So first data type, A is an array name, bracket equal to new int of 5. So this is a declaration of array. So here we declared array with size 5. So now we can store 5 elements, and here the starting index is 0 and the last index is 4. Okay, because it starts from 0. So this is the declaration of an array. Okay, so one more way we have, suppose if you want to insert the values into array, in this particular array, if you want to store the values, how we can store is storing values into array, storing or inserting. How to store or insert values into this array? So 5 different values I can store. So you can also store same values, but all are same data type. Now, if you want to store 5 different values into this particular array, we can store like this. So there are 5, right? So 5 means 5 different values we can store. Index is start from 0. So every location we can identify by using index number. So when I say A of 0, so these are starting location. So here I can just put some number called 100. Okay, now 100 will go and store in this particular location. And similarly, I can store A of 1 equal to 200 and A of 2 equal to 300, and you can store any numbers so randomly, that's up to you. So A of 3 is equal to, I'll say 400, A of 4 is equal to 500. So now I have stored 5 different numbers. Because this is the integer array, I can store only integers. So in each and every location I have stored 5 numbers. So 0 started and 4 is the last index. So this is how we can add numbers or add the values to these locations. So it will be added like this. Here it will store 100, here it will store 200, 300, 400, 500, so on. So this is how it will store. So suppose I want to declare an array along with these values, okay, dynamically. Suppose if I say like this, I say 5, right? This is a fixed limit. We cannot store more than 5 elements or more than 5 values. This is a fixed in limit. For example, I want to store, suppose I don't know how many elements I am going to store in future. Maybe I can increase these values. So in those cases, these array cannot work. So because this is fixed size. So in other way also we can define. So definition, declaration along with the values. We can combine these two statements in single statement. And that's a dynamic array. So we can just add the values. Based on the values, it will automatically increase the size of an array. Okay, there is other way of way we can have. Let me just comment this. And in this approach, we have to declare an array, specify the size, and also each and every location we have to provide the value like this. But if you want to let me just comment this also. Now, if you want to combine these two into single statement, I can just say like this: int array name equal to, here we don't say any new keyword or anything. Directly we can assign the values in curly braces. So here I can say 100, 200, 300, 400 and 500. This is a simple way of assigning the values. So what is the advantage here is we no need to specify any size. and this doesn't have any limit. We can keep on adding more numbers also. So based on number of values I have provided here, the array size will be increment dynamically. Okay, so that's an advantage of this notation. Either you can go for either first notation or you can go for the second notation. Okay, so here we can declare an array, without specifying size. Okay, so this is another approach we have. Either we can go for this first approach, first to declare an array with size. If you know the size of array, we can go for first approach, and that array is fixed size. But if you don't know the size of an array, suppose in future if you are going to add more values, then you can go for the second approach. Okay, fine. So these are the different ways to declare an array and assign the values of into array. Now we have seen this one, declare an array, insert values into array by using index number. Now how to find the size of an array? Suppose there is an array we have already defined either by using first approach or second approach, whatever. I want to find how many values we have into this array. How many values we have in this array. So how to find out? So if you want to find how many values or size of an array, we use a length keyword. Length is a keyword. So how to use it? So just array name dot length. Array name dot length. So this will give you the length of an array. Means how many values we have in this array. So let's print this value. System dot out dot println a dot length. Okay, length. Okay, system dot out dot println. I'm just printing the a dot length. So this will give you how many values we entered in this particular array. So this statement prints length or size of an array. So why do we need to find size? Suppose if you want to read these values, we have to use a for loop. Okay, so in that for loop we have to specify this limit. What is the limit? What is the maximum number? So to provide that value, we need to find out the length of an array. Okay, so I will use this in loop statement to read these values. So let's run this, run as Java application. So now we can see 5 is a size. Okay, so this is the length of an array. We can also write something here. Length of an array is, and just here I'll append. Okay, now it will use the length of array. Fine. So now let's see the next operation. How to read values from an array. So we can read values from an array in two different ways. So we can use for loop, and there is another way. Yesterday we have discussed about while loop, do while loop, and for loop, right? So how we have created for loop yesterday? So we have created like this. For here we have say initialization, and then we have put condition, and then we have put incrementation, right? So and here we have created the body of the, or we can say statements here. So this is a first statement we have. This is the loop syntax we followed, and this is called as a classic for loop. Normal in Java by default will support this for loop, but especially for data structures like kind of array, array list, hash map. Okay, all these things can be used a different kind of for loop. So even we have another flavor of for loop. This is a one flavor. Like we have to specify initialization, we have to say condition, we have to say incrementation. But along with this, we have another flavor of for loop. Okay, that is called as advanced for loop. That name is advanced for loop, or we can say enhanced for loop. Enhanced for loop, or this is also called as a for each loop. There are many number of names we have. This is another flavor of for loop. What is an advantage of that for loop? In this for loop, we don't need to specify any initialization. We don't have any condition. We don't have any incrementation. Only initialization we have. We don't have condition. We don't have incrementation. Without this also we can write a loop. But this loop is especially designed for arrays arrays list and hash map concepts. Okay, other than this, we cannot use this enhanced for loop. So let us see how, first we'll see how to read these values by using a normal for loop, and then I will show you how to read these values by using enhanced for loop or advanced for loop. Okay, so let us start read these values. So if you want to read these values, we have to write a for loop here. So let me just show you how for loop we need to write. So this is my array, so which contains a few values like this. Let's say here we have 100, 200, 300, 400 and 500. So this name is A and index is 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, right? It starts from 0. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3 and 4. These are the index numbers. Now if you want to read these values of this array, there are n number of values, right? So if you want to get the values, so we can write like this. So system dot out dot println. So if you want to get a specific value from this, we need to just say index number. Suppose I want to get 300. So what is an index of 300? 0, 1 and 2. So when I say 2 here, this will give you 300 as an output. Okay, this is the value we get. But if you want to read all the values, if you have one or two or three values, we can write three different println statements. But if you have more values, like suppose 10 values or 100 values we have, so we cannot write those many number of system.out.println statements. Right? It will be very huge. So what I can do is I will just write one for loop. Okay. So in the for loop, I will create a variable called I. I'll start the initial value 0. Every time I will increment this value. So I is representing the index number. So every time I value I will increment and I will get this value from an array. So let's see how we can get this. So this will read a specific value. This statement is used for reading a specific value by specifying the index number. So if I want to read multiple values or want to read all the values, so I'll write a for loop. For I'll take a variable called int I. So index is starting from 0. So I'll just say 0. And what is the condition I have to write? So here I need to repeat this I value. I need to increment this value till how? When this reaches 4. So I less than or equal to 4. This is our condition. So the maximum value is 4. Or you can write I less than 5. This is also fine. So here when I say, because the size of an array index is start from 0, so the maximum limit will be 4. When I say less than or equal to, first let's say 0, I value will start from 0, next increment by 1, 2, 3, 4 is also will match. Whenever I value become 5, it gets stopped because we don't have fifth element here. Okay, 4 is the last index. Suppose if I say second one, this is also correct. It will start from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 is also will match. Okay, but whenever it becomes the 5, it will stop because I less than 5. This is wrong condition, right? So either we can go for this one or we can go for this one. So here always we need to go and prefer this one. So either we can prefer this one, that's fine. But here how we will know that? We can hard code the size. Suppose if you know the size of array, we can just hard code it, or I can use this variable here. This is a dynamic. So suppose tomorrow if you add more values, it will automatically count, dynamically count how many number of values we have. So we don't need to hard code this. So when I say a dot length, what this will return? A dot length will return 5. 5 it will return. So when I say 5, we should not use equal to here. We should use less than only. Okay, so colon I plus plus. Every time I will increment 1. Every time I will increment 1. So a dot length. If I say a dot length, it will give you 5. So that you need to specify only less than. Suppose if you still want to specify the first notation, you have to say -1. And here just add equal to. So I less than or equal to a dot length of -1. a dot length will give you 5, 5 minus 1 is 4. So now this will exactly match with the first condition. So you can write either this way or this way, that is up to you. Both are correct. Okay, but if you want to follow the first notation, just give less than or equal to a dot length minus 1 you have to do. And if you want to go for the second notation, just remove the equal to and remove minus 1. Okay, both are right. So now I have put a condition I plus plus. Now here how to read this value. If you want to read this value, let's say same statement here, but instead of hard coding this value index number, I'll just pass index value I. Now what happens is, first I value is 0 and this condition is true, then it will come here. I value is 0, so a of 0, what is the value we have in I of 0? 100, so 100 will print here. Next, after printing this value, I value will be incremented by 1. So now I value is 1. Again it will check the condition. So 1 less than or is equal to 1. Condition is true. Again it will come here. So instead of I it will substitute 1. So a of 1 means 200. It will print 200. So like this, every time it will increment by 1 and condition will verify, and then it will get the particular value based upon the index number. It will print 300, 400, and whenever I value become 4 and 4 is also condition match, so here 500 also will print. So as soon as this become I value become 5, then the condition become false. Okay, and then it will exit from the for loop. So by the time we will get all these values. So let's run this and see. So you can see here 300, so not from here. So this is a 300 is different. Here we have printed the value, right? That's the difference. So from here it is started 100, 200, 300, 400 to 500. So by using this for loop, we can read the values from an array. Okay, we need to carefully write a starting value, index number, and the last index number. Just we need to substitute this I here, and dynamically every time for every round this I value will be changing like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So accordingly we'll get all the values. So this is the one way of reading the values from a single dimensional array. And we can also do it very easily by using enhanced for loop or advanced for loop. So how to do this? So the syntax of this for loop will be like this. For here we have only initialization part. We don't have any condition, nothing. And here we can write the body or statement. This is very simple to use. Okay. But when we need to use this for loop, if you were working with arrays or hash map or some other data structures, we use this for loop. Okay. So let's see how we can do this. This is using classic for loop. I'll just comment this. Now I will try to use enhanced for loop or advanced for loop. Read values using enhanced for loop. So it is very simple. Just observe this carefully. For here, what is an array we have? A is an array, right? So just specify the array name. And before that, just use one colon. And here, what are the type of data we have? Int type, right? So just say one data type called int, and also we'll create a variable called I. Okay, so what happened here is this is the only condition. So what happened with this is, so we can have any number of values. It doesn't matter because we haven't put any condition here, right? So we can have any number of values. But how this will read those values? A is representing an array which contains multiple values. So what it will do is, the first time it will read first value 100 and will assign to the I. Okay, it will read 100, that is the first value, will assign to the I. Now what I contains now? 100. So just will print I value here. System dot out dot print. Here we don't even have index number. Okay, we don't use any index number here. Directly we'll get this value. So when I say int I colon A contains multiple values. So first it will read first value and store that into I. Now I is printed, that is 100. Again it will go up. So second time it will check whether is there any other value we have. So if it is there, then it will again read the second value and store that into I. So now I is having 200. Now again it will go and search, is there any new value we have here. So third value still we have 300. Now 300 will assign to the I. So again here 300 will print. Again it will go and verify next value. 400 is present. So 400 will assign to the I. Now 400 will print here. And again it will go and verify the next value. 500 is there. So 500 will assign to the I. So 500 is printed. Now again it will go and verify the next value. So we don't have the next value, right? 500 is the last. So then automatically this file for loop will exit. So what does it mean is this for loop will read each and every value till it reaches end. Okay, so once it could not find any value, then it will exit from the for loop. So that's the reason we don't have any condition here. It will automatically read each and every value. It will go till the end. So until it finds some element. Suppose if it could not find any element here, then it will exit from the for loop. So that's how this will work. This is called as enhanced for loop. This is called as a enhanced for loop. This is very simple to use it. When you compare with the classic for loop, this is very simple to use. And especially this is used for with arrays only. Arrays and hash map and array list. So all these structures, all these kinds of concepts will use this enhanced for loop. Especially this is designed for only arrays. Okay. So whenever you are working with an arrays, you can just use this loop statement. Fine. So that's how it will read. So first it will read first value and print it here. Get the second value, print third value, fourth value, and fifth value. So here we don't have any condition, we don't have any incrementation, and also we don't have any index concept. So we can simply do it. Now run this code. It will give you same output. Okay. So this is how we can work with a single dimensional array. So we have seen how to declare an array, how to insert values into array, how to find size of an array by using length method, and then how to read values from an array by using classic for loop and also by using enhanced for loop. Okay, this is about single dimensional array. So guys, are you clear how to use this single dimensional array? So very important concept. Okay. So next one, let's go for two or multi-dimensional. So we have so many assignments on this I'm going to provide today. So you guys practice a lot on this, okay? Then two-dimensional array. How to work with this two-dimensional or multi-dimensional array. So two-dimensional or multi-dimensional. So again, in two-dimensional or multi-dimensional array, we will see all operations. How to declare two-dimensional array, how to insert values into array, how to find size, how to read values from two-dimensional. So what is the difference between two-dimensional and single-dimensional? In the single-dimensional, we have only one row. So they say only single dimension means only we have one row. So we can store only few elements. But in case of two-dimensional array, we have rows and columns both. So how to declare a two-dimensional array, I'll show you now. So first data type and array name, and instead of one bracket, this time we put two brackets equal to data type and int, again data type and two brackets. So here we'll say number of rows and here we'll say number of columns. So some number you require. So 3 rows and 2. So here 3 represent number of rows, and it's like a table format. Okay, it's a matrix format. And 2 represents number of columns in each row. Okay, this is a creation of a two-dimensional array. So we can also have multiple variations. So we can also put these brackets before a. So here also we can put we can also insert square brackets before a. This is also correct. Either you can go for first way or we can go for second way. So how this two-dimensional array will create? So it will create like this, the table format. Suppose when I say integer A of 2 brackets equal to new int of 3 and 2. When I say two-dimensional array, so this will be created like this. So how many rows we have? This representing the rows, 2 representing the columns. So 3 rows. So it will create 3 rows internally. 1, 2, 3, and 2 columns and 2 columns. 1 and 2. So this is array creation. So this name of array is A. Now every row is representing by index again. This is 0, 1 and 2. This is the index numbers. And even every column is representing by index number. This is 0, this is 1. So column indexes also start from 1, 0. Suppose if you want to put some values here, how to refer these locations? So we can refer these locations like this. So when I say A of 0 and 0. So here 0, 0 is the index number. So this representing the row and this representing the column. So 0, 0 means it will point exactly this particular location. This is 0, 0. So 0 row and 0 column. And if you want to refer the second location, this is the 0 row, first column. So when I say A of 0 and 1, so this will exactly point to second part, second location here. And how to store values? By using equal to, I can store values. Suppose when I say 100 here, 100 will be stored here. When I say here 200 will be stored here. Okay. Suppose if you want to access this location, I'll say A of 2 of 1. So 2 and 1. So 2 means second row, 1 is a column. So 2 comma 1 will point to this location. So this is a two-dimensional or multi-dimensional array. We have a number of rows and each row we have number of columns. So those number of rows and columns we need to specify here. And this is again fixed in size. And we can also add values dynamically without specifying the size also. Okay, I'll show you that one. So this is a single two-dimensional or multi-dimensional array. Now let us see how we can do these operations in two-dimensional array. Declaring array, inserting values into array, and finding size of an array. Here finding size means we can find number of rows and also we can find number of columns. Okay, so no Justin, you should not use anything like this. This is a just two-dimensional array. Okay, two-dimensional means this representing the row, this representing the column. You should not have more number of brackets like this. Okay, this is not right notation. Okay, so Java will support till here. Okay, so this representing the rows and this representing the column. So other than rows and columns, we don't have anything else. Fine. So let us see how we can do these actions on this particular two-dimensional array. Let's go here. I'll create a new program, new class. I'll just name this as a two-dimensional array or multi-dimensional array. Okay, so multi-dimensional array. So first let us declare an array. So how to declare a two-dimensional array? Data type, array name, two brackets. So because here one bracket is representing row, other bracket is representing the column. So that's how we need to say two. So new int and two brackets, here say size. Let's say 3 rows and 2 columns. Okay. So this is how we can declare. So now if you want to assign the values, we have to assign each and every index and we need to put the value. Suppose in A of 0, suppose when I say 3 comma 2, how many values I can insert? 3 rows and 2 columns. So total is 6 values I can insert. So first let us insert values in the first row. First row means 0, 0, 0, 1. So A of 0, 0. In this I will put 100. And A of same 0 row and first column I will print 200. So this is assigning the values. So in the first row I have filled as 100 and 200. Now come to the second row. So the index of second row is 1, 0, 1, 1. So now A of 1, 0, I'll put 300 here and I'll say A of 1, 1. So here I'll put 400. So now the second row is also filled. First row and second row. This is the first row and this is the second row. And now the third row. So third row means index is 2, row index is 2, 0, 2, 0, 2, 1. So A of 2 and 0, I'll just say 500, and A of the same row and 1, I'll just say 600. Okay, so now 6 values have been added to this two-dimensional array. So everything is fine. So here we also have another way. Without specifying the size, we can directly assign the values. So automatically the size will be incremented based upon number of values. So let me show you that. Let's comment this. For now, here I'm commenting. Now, if you want to say a single statement, we can write like this: int a, two brackets, is equal to, in the curly braces we have to put all the rows and columns. So how to put here? In single dimensional array, we have only one row, just we have added all the values by separating comma. But here we have rows and columns, right? So what should we do is, first we need to insert the first row, 100 and 200, right? So here in the curly braces, one more time, say 100 and 200. Okay, so this is the first row, 100 and 200, because we have two columns. So that's the reason we have two values. Again, comma, and one more row. In the second row, I have to put 300 and 400. So here I'll say 300 and 400. This is your second row. And third row, I'll say 500 and 600. So like this, you can add any number of rows like this. So this is directly assigning the values into array. So based upon the rows and the columns, and each row we have columns: first column, second column, first column, second column. So for each row, and based upon the number of values we provided here, that automatically assign the size of this particular array. Number of rows and number of columns will be increased. So either we can go for this notation or we can go for this notation. Again, same reason. If you know the size, like how many rows and columns we have, just go for first notation. Or if you don't know the size of an array, suppose in future if you are going to increment the values, then you can go for the second notation. Okay, so this time I will use the first notation. Enable this, I'll just commenting. Fine. So now how to find? The next thing is, we have seen how to declare array, how to insert values into array. Then how to find size of an array. Here we have to find number of rows and also columns. Both we have. But in single dimensional we have only rows. But here we have a rows and columns. How to find number of rows and number of columns. Now let's see here. So first let us find number of rows we have. Okay, so simple, a dot length. This will not change. Okay, a dot length will give you number of rows. It returns 3. So let's print the value. System dot out dot println. So here I'll write number of rows, and here just I'll append this value, a dot length. So this will give you number of rows present in a array. You can see 3 rows. 3 is returned. Similarly, if you want to find the number of columns, we need to find in different way. So for example, in this array, if you want to find number of columns, every row is same number of columns, right? So sometimes the number of columns will be more for the particular row value. So what I need to do is, if you want to find number of columns, we should specify at least one row. Any row is fine, from 0 to last number. You can specify one row, and then we need to find how many number of columns we have in that particular row. So how we can do that is, first let us focus on any row. So let's say a of 0. So 0 representing a row, and dot, use length method here. Okay, but if I say a dot length, it will give you number of rows, and if I say a of 0 dot length, then it will give you number of columns present inside this particular row number. Okay, so this is how we need to use. So let's see, system dot out dot println number of columns A, and we should specify any one of these row, 0 row dot length. Okay, so that's all. So this is how we need to find number of rows and number of columns. Let's run this code. See, we will get number of rows are 3, number of columns are 2. Again, index is starting index is 0, last index is 2, and for the columns starting index is 0, the last index is 1. Okay, because index is always start from 0. So we have found length of array, rows and number of columns. Now let us see how to read the values from this array. So again, we have two methods to read these values. One is we can use a classic for loop, and also we can use enhanced for loop. Okay, so I'm going to show you both of them. So first let us start with the classic for loop. So classic for loop is little bit tricky, but you need to write two different for loops here, because one is for incrementing the rows and one other one is for incrementing the columns. Okay, let's see how it will work. Okay, this is our array. So we have 3 rows and 2 columns. So here index is 1, 0, 1 and 2. This is a row index, and 0, 1. This is a column index. Okay, so here I have values called 100. Here I have 200, 3, 4, 5 and 600. Okay, this is currently my array. The name of the array is A. So I need to write for loops to read each and every value. So first for loop I need to write to increment these rows. Okay, so for each row again we have number of columns, so we need to read all the columns in each row. So each column I need to read like this, right? And for this we need to write one more for loop inside this for loop. Okay, inside the for loop we need to write one more for loop. So this for loop is incrementing the rows and this for loop is incrementing the columns for each row. Okay, so we need to write the logic here to read all the values. So let's write this one. I'll start from for. So if I use outer for loop, this is called inner for loop. This is called inner for loop and this is called outer for loop. Okay, so outer for loop is representing the rows and inner for loop is representing the columns in each row. So first outer for loop I will write. So outer for loop we will say index is start from 0, 1 and 2, right? So I will just say int I, index is start from 0 and the condition is I less than, so what you need to put here, a dot length, I less than a dot length. So a dot length will give you 3. So if I say 3 means 0, 1, 2 is the last index. So as soon as I becomes 3, the condition becomes false. Okay, because 3 less than 3 is false. Okay, you got my point. So here index is starting from 0, 1 and 2. When I say a dot length will give you 3. So 0 will match, 0 less than 1 is true, 0 less than 1, 1 is true, 0 less than 2 is also true. 0, 1 and 2. 0, 1 and 2. These three correct. Sorry, this is 0, this is 1 and 2. 0, 1, 2. 0 less than 3 is correct. 0 less than 3, 1 less than 3 is also correct. 2 less than 3 is also correct. Whenever I value becomes 3, 3 less than 3 is not correct. So then this condition becomes false. Now I plus plus, increment the I value. Now inside this for loop, I will write one more for loop because I need to read columns for each and every row. So here again we have index 0, 1. So I'll stay one more variable called j. I'll start again from 0 and j, again same, j less than, how to say the length here, column length we need to specify, not the row length. So how we get the column length? With this we have get the column length. And this time we don't need to specify hard code here, 0. So instead of this we can directly pass I here, because I representing the row, right? So in this particular row, how many columns we have, that will be counted by this variable. And then j++. Okay, so here we need to write a statement. So this is called as a nested for loop, a loop within a other loop, outer loop and inner loop. This is called outer loop, and this is called inner loop. Okay, so why you have specified I here? Because in this particular row it will count number of columns, and then it will repeat those many number of times. How many number of values we have in this column, so those many number of times this loop will repeat. Okay, now here we need to extract the values from this two-dimensional array. How to extract them? I'll write a simple statement, system.out.println. So here I'll just say a of I comma j. That's it. How this will work? Let us see. So first it starts from here. So I is 0, condition is true. Now it will come here. What is the I value currently? 0. I'll write here. Okay, 0 is the current value of I. Now it will come here. So int j is started from 0. This is representing the column. And j less than a of I dot length. This is also true. And then it will come here. What is the j value started? 0 is the starting value of j. Now it will come here. So what is I value? 0. What is the j value? 0. So a of 0, 0. What is the value we have in a of 0, 0? 100. So that will be printed first time. 100 is printed. And after printing this 100, it will increment the j++. Until unless this inner for loop is completed, it will not go to the outer for loop again. Okay. First inner for loop completely done. Once it is exited, once this condition is false, it will be exited, and then it will go to outer for loop again. Until unless still keep on, inner for loop will run. Okay, so first 100 is printed, and then it will increment j value. Now j value becomes 1. So 1 less than the condition. So what is a of I dot length will return? That will return 2, right? So that will returns 2 here. So 1 less than 2, condition is true again. So now the j value is 1 now here. So again come here. What is the I value here now? Still 0. It is not incremented because we haven't go to outer for loop yet. So still I value remains the same, that is 0. And what is the j value now? J value is a 1. So 0 and 1. So 0, 1 means 0 and 1 means 200 will return. So this time it will print 200. Now this time j value will incremented by 2 now. So j value is 2 now. So condition will verify 2 less than 2. Condition become false. And then it will exit from the for loop. And then it will go to outer for loop. So when you go to outer for loop, here I value will be incremented. So I value now becomes 1. Now condition is true. Again it will come to inner for loop. When it comes to inner for loop, again j value will start from 0. Reassign to 0. So now I value is 1, j value is 0. Now again it will come here. I value 1, j value 0. 1, 0. So 1, 0 means 300 will print here. Followed by 300. So 100, 200 already we printed in the first round. Now we are starting the second round for second row. So 300 is printed. Now again j value incremented by 1. So again condition becomes true. So here it will come. So I value still 1 and now j value becomes 1. So 1 and 1. So 1, 1 means first row and first column. So 400 will print here. 400. Next again j value incremented. Now the j value becomes 2 now. So as soon as it becomes 2, the condition become false. J condition become false. So it will exit from this loop. It will go up again. Whenever it go up the outer for loop, again the I value becomes 2 now. Okay, previously it was 1. So now it becomes 2 because it is incremented. then the condition will check. So 2 less than 3. So condition is again true. So now it will again come to inner for loop. So here again we'll check the condition. Now again j value is start from 0, reassign to 0. So I value is 2, currently I value is 2, j value is 0. So again it will come here 2 0. So I value is 2, j value is 0. They are the current values. So 2 0 means we have 2 and 0 means 500 we have. So 500 will print here, 500. And then j value will be incremented by 1. So then condition is true. And again it will come here. So I value is still 2 and j value is 1. 2 1. 2 1 means 600 will print here. 600. And again j value will increment. So then the condition become false. It will exit from the inner for loop. Again I value will increment by 3. So as soon as it becomes 3, then the condition become false. Okay, because 3 less than 3, the condition become false. So then outer for loop will also exit. So by that time we will get all these values. Okay, this is how we need to write two different for loop statement to read all the values from two-dimensional array. Okay, so let's run this code, run as Java application. Now we can see here it reads all the values 100, 200, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Okay, so you need to carefully write this logic to read the values from two-dimensional array. Okay, so guys, are you clear how to read the two-dimensional array values by using classic for loop? Here we require two different for loops. So now I'll show you how to read the values by using enhanced for loop. That's very simple. Yes, Smriti. So I have one question. When I equal to 2, what is the value of a of I dot length? Okay. So a of I is 2 means that represent the second row. So a of 2 dot length. So do we have a second row here? Yes. So here we say a of I dot length. What is this value you are asking? And the I value is equal to 2. So I representing the row here, right? So second row it representing. So in this second row, what are columns we have? 2 columns. So this will give you 2. So it will returns 2 columns. Okay. So this representing the row numbers. In this particular row, if I use length keyword, this will return how many number of columns we have in this particular row. Not only I value here, suppose if I say 3 here, so a of 3 of length. So in the third row, suppose if we have any other row, in the third row, how many columns we have? That will be returned. Okay. So guys, are you clear? So please confirm on the chat window once and I'll go for another loop. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Okay. Fine. So let's go with for each loop. So that's very simple. That's not much complicated because we don't have any conditions, incrementations, indexes. We don't have all this concept. Very simple. So I'll write here enhanced for loop to read values from two-dimensional. Let's see how much it is simple. So I just commented this. Okay. So now I'm going to write enhanced for loop. So let's see how we can write. So again here we require two for loops. Okay, because we have rows and columns. So whenever we see rows and columns, we require a two for loops. One is for incrementing the rows, the other is for incrementing the columns. So what I will do here is, let's see. I write for loop. Okay, so I will just create one more time. Okay, this is my array. So here I have 100. Here we don't have any index concept. So 100, this is a 200, 300, 400, 500 and 600. These are the values. Okay, here we don't require any index kind of stuff. So just represent these are the rows and these are the columns. These are the columns and these are the rows. Now let's see how to write this for loop. So here what I will say is I will put array name. When I put array name, this is a two-dimensional array. right? So this is a two-dimensional array. So this will read first row. So A means A first will read complete row, not the single value here. Okay. So this time it will read complete row, means 100 and 200. And if you want to store 100 and 200, both the values into a single variable, what kind of variable it should be now? I'll say just I here. Okay. So, or else I'll just say some variable called R. So here, when I say A, because this is a two-dimensional array or multi-dimensional array, it will read complete row. When I say A here, it will read complete row, 100 and 200. And 100 and 200 I want to store into a variable called as R. Now what kind of variable it should be now? This should be array type, single dimensional array type. So single dimensional array only can hold multiple values, right? And it should be integer type, and also it is a single dimensional array type. So then only it can hold two values. So when I say condition like this, okay, so A will read the complete row 100 and 200 will be assigned to the R. Now R contains 100 and 200. Okay, now here I'll say this is one dimensional array. This is int type. Now R contains the first row 100 and 200. Now write one more for loop inside. Here I'll say R colon. So how to read the values from single dimensional array? Just say R, and here let's say an integer variable. Let's say I. Now what happens? Observe this carefully. So first time it will get 100 and 200, first row, complete row, and store that into single dimensional array because we have two values. From this array, we have to again read all two values. So how to read this? Again, one more enhanced for loop I have written inside. So I'll just say R representing the single dimensional array. First it will read 100 and store that into I. So here just I will print I value. System.out.println I value. Again it will go up and it will read second value, that is 200. Observe this carefully. Don't confuse. So here we have 100 and 200. First time it will read 100 and 200 because that's the first row. Now R contains 100 and 200. 100 and 200. Now inside I have created one more enhanced for loop and I say R. R is again this is array, single dimensional. So how this will work? First it will read 100 and store that into I, and here it will print 100. Again it will go up, it will read the second 200, second value, and assign to the I. Now 200 will print. And again it will go and check is there any other value or not, next value. We don't have it, and then it will go up to the outer for loop. Okay, so now this time it will read second row completely. This time it will say 300 and 400 because the first row is already done. So now it will go read second row 300 400. Now 300 400 will be assigned to the R. Okay, so again this is reinitiated. Now R contains, R is array which contains two values 300 and 400. Now come inside inner loop. So first 300 will be assigned to the I. Here it will print the I value for 300. Now again it will read the second value 400 will be assigned to the I. Now will be 400 will printed here. Now the second row is done and we don't have any other value. So inner for loop will exit. And then again it will go to outer for loop. Still we have one more row. So 500 and 600 will be read here. 500 and 600. So 500 will be assigned, 500 600 both will assign to the R, again reassigned. Now R contains 500 and 600. Now in inner for loop, first 500 will read and assign to the I. Now 500 will print here. And again it will go up, get the next value 600 will assign to the I. Now 600. And then again it will go and check the next value. We don't have next value. So inner for loop will exit. And then again it will go to outer for loop. And again it will check is there any other row or not. So we don't have any more rows. So even outer for loop will also will exit. So this is how we need to use enhanced for loop to read two-dimensional array. This is very simpler than this one. Okay, fine. So let's run this code. This will also give you the same output. Okay, and you need to remember this one very important thing, why we need to define this array here, because this will lead the complete row, means it contains multiple values, so that I have say single dimension array. Again, from single dimension array we can read the values like this. Okay, so this is how we need to read the values from two-dimensional or multi-dimensional array. This is very simple one. So we have seen how to declare an array, how to insert the values in array, how to find the size of array, rows and columns, and then we have also seen how to read values from two-dimensional array. Okay, so guys, are you clear how to work with these arrays? Single dimensional array and two-dimensional array. And very important concept, single dimensional array and two-dimensional array. Okay, so yes, so I'll run this enhanced for loop one more time. Run as Java application. So this will give you all the numbers from 100 to 600. Okay, so fine. Suppose if I have if I use this notation, let me just comment this one. Okay, I'll initiate this notation now. So I will also add a few more values. Here I'll say 700 and 800. That means I have added one more row. So now how many rows we have? 4 different rows and 2 columns. Now when I run this, it will also give you 700, 800 also. Okay, so this is how we need to write enhanced for loop for two-dimensional array. So that's all. So next one we'll discuss about the strings. So what is string? A string is a collection of characters. String is a collection of characters. So if I, how to define a strings in Java, we have to declare a variable of string type. Let's say s is equal to, in the double quotes we need to keep. So when I say welcome here, this is a string. Okay, so if you want to define a string, we have to define a variable like this. String s is equal to some value. This is a string. So in Java, we have so many predefined methods. We can use them to perform certain actions or operations on strings. So let us discuss those methods. So string methods. I'm going to discuss about string methods. Methods in the sense these are the predefined methods which will perform certain action or task. Suppose for example, I want to find length of a string. Okay, so we have a method called length. So this is a method. Suppose I want to get substring of this string. Suppose last 4 characters I want to extract, or first 3 characters. Or suppose I want to replace some characters here. Or I want to convert the case, like I want to convert this into uppercase. Or if it is there in uppercase, I want to convert them into lowercase. So these kind of operations we can perform by using string methods. Okay, so there are so many methods we have. So I'm going to discuss those methods one by one. I'm going to share a small presentation with you guys, and let us see what are all different string methods we have. So here I have listed out a few methods. Yes, so length is used for array also, but there that is not a method. Let's see, there is a difference. So in array also we have used length. Suppose here if you go and see in single dimension or two dimensional, here this length is a variable, not the method. So method is always including end with the brackets. So a dot length is a keyword which will find length of an array. But when you come to the string, you have to use length method like this. So length of bracket. So this will give you how many characters we have in this particular string. So how to use this? S dot length. So S is representing the string variable dot length. So this will give you how many characters we have in this string. But in case of array, that will also give size of an array, how many elements we have in this array. But that is not a method. This is not the method. This is just a variable which will give us size of an array. But here, this is a method. This is a method. Okay, observe the difference. Very important. You got it, Urvashi? So length is a method here, but there the length is a variable. Remember this. Don't confuse. Okay. So let us discuss different string methods we have in Java. The first method is length method. Length. So length is a method which will return or count number of characters present inside the string. So when I say string s is equal to welcome, and how do you use this length method? S dot length, and this will give 7. So how many characters we have in this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters. So it will return 7. And there is one more method called as a concat. So concat is a method which will combine two strings. Suppose here I have two strings called S and S1. S contains welcome and S1 contains to Java. So I want to combine these two strings. So how to combine this? We have a concat method. So S is the first string, S dot concat of S1. This is called string 1. This is called string 2. I want to join those two strings. I have to use method like this. S dot concat of S1. This will produce the concatenated string. Welcome to Java. And there is another method called as a trim. So trim method will truncate right side and left side spaces. For example, I have a string like this. Here some spaces we have, and the right side, left side we have some spaces here. So I want to remove these spaces, right and left, and that time we need to use a trim command. So trim method, s dot trim, and it will remove the right and left side spaces, and which will produce the complete string. Okay, so let's see how we can use them. We have so many string methods, around 10 methods. I'm going to discuss them. So I'm going to create a new class. I will name this as string methods. Okay, so here I will create a string variable. String s is equal to, I'll just say welcome. So first method is length. How to use this length method? S dot length. S dot length. So we have, it will give you or it will return you length of a string. So the returned value we can store in a variable, or you can print it, or directly we can just put in system dot out dot println. Okay, this is also correct. length, and this will give you length of a string. So when I run this code, it will give you length of a string. So that is 7. It is returned. And I have one more string called string s1. So s1 is equal to Java. So this is another string I have. We can also have some spaces in this. Okay. So now I want to concatenate these two. I want to join those strings. If you want to join them, I can use s dot concat of s1. S dot concat of s1. This is a string 1 and this is a string variable 2. So here I just say system dot out dot println of s dot concat. So this will join your strings. So when I run this code, it will join your string. Welcome to Java. Okay. So this is a concatenation. This is the finding length and this is the concatenation. Okay. So here I will write length of a string, and here concatenating, or we can join the strings. Joining of strings. Joining of strings. Yes, it will also count number of spaces. Okay, for example, here I'll give one space in welcome. So how much it should return now? So when I run this, it will give you 8. Okay, even space also will consider as a one character. Okay, remember this. Space is also considered as a one character. Fine, so now I have removed the space, and then again it will give you 7. So the second string it is joined. This is concatenation or joining of two strings. And then we have a trim method. So suppose I have a string here. I'll reassign the value. I'll give some space here. Welcome. Okay, this is my string. So previously this is the value. Now I have reinitiated the value. So I have given some spaces here. So let's give a bigger space. Now if I print this s value, system.out.println, if I print just s value, it will print with the spaces. So here there are some spaces, left and right side also we have some spaces. So I want to remove these spaces, left and right. So in those cases, we have to use a trim method. So how to use trim method? S dot trim. That's it. S dot trim. And this method will remove right and left spaces. And now again put that into system dot out dot println. So after trimming those spaces, it will give you a new value. Yes, it removes only the spaces, not the characters. Okay, it will remove only the spaces. That too at the beginning and end, not in the middle spaces. Remember this. Okay, so if suppose if two Java is there, the space is there in the middle, so that we cannot remove. But if we have any spaces between right side and left side, so that spaces we can remove. Okay, so now when I run this, after removing the spaces, it will give you exact statement. So here I will write some message after trimming string is. Okay, so here, and this is a before trimming. Before string is. Okay, so this is before trimming and after trimming. So before trimming, this is a space. Still we have spaces here. And after trimming, we don't have any spaces. Okay, so this is how we can trim the string. Trimming the string by using a trim method. So we have seen length method concatenated. This is called as a trim. I haven't written here. This is a trim method. Okay. Next. So caret. Caret is another method which will return a character based upon an index number. So when I say here string s is equal to welcome, s dot caret. Caret is a method. Here we need to provide index number. And caret method will consider index from 0. So this is the 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So index is start from 0 according to caret method. So when I say index number here, this will give you what is the character present in that particular index location. That is a caret method. Next one is a contains method. So contains method will return either true or false. It will check whether our string is present in the main string or not. So for example, here string s is equal to welcome. So I am verifying s dot contains wel. So is it present in this string? The first three characters are same. So this will returns true. Suppose something if I gave xyz here. So xyz is not part of this string. So this will return false. Okay. So this is the contains, very frequently used methods. In future also in the coming sessions also, and these are all case sensitive. Remember this. So all string methods are case sensitive. You have to provide the values perfectly, even in lowercase or uppercase. These are all case sensitive. Suppose instead of wel, if I see all lowercase letters, this will return false. This will return false. Okay, you need to follow the case sensitivity here. So if it is W is uppercase letter, it will match. If W is a lowercase letter, it will not match. Okay, so this is the contains method. So contains method will return either true or false. It will verify whether this string is present in the main string or not. If it is present, it will return true. If it is not present, it returns false. That is the contains method. Now equals method. So equals method will compare two strings, whether they are equal or not. So for example, see this first example. So string s is equal to welcome, and here s dot equals, I am comparing this string with another string called welcome. So here these two are both are exactly the same. See now this welcome and this one both are same. So it returns true. Now in the second scenario, this is the first and second scenario. This is a string welcome. Now here I'll say lowercase letter. So W is a lowercase letter. So this will not exactly match with this. So it will return false. So this is equals method. But even if I say, if suppose if you want to ignore this case sensitivity, even though if I provide lowercase letters, I want to consider both are equal. So in those cases, I need to use equals ignore case. There is another method called equals ignore case. And if I use this method, it will just ignore the case sensitivity. So even if you say ignore case, this is a string s dot equals ignore case of welcome. So this will anyway true. And but the second case, here this is the uppercase letter, here I pass lowercase letter, but still it returns true. Why? Because it is just ignore the case sensitivity. So if you want to compare two strings, you have two methods. One is equals, the other one is equals ignore case. So if I use equals method, it will consider case sensitivity. So you need to differentiate lowercase and uppercase letters. But here even spaces also compared. Okay, suppose here there is no space. If I give some space here in welcome, that will not be matched. Okay, because space is also considered as a character. Okay. So what is the difference between equals and equals ignore case? In equals method, it will consider case sensitivity. We have to pass this, we have to match strings exactly the same way. But in case of equals ignore case, even though if you pass lowercase letters, it will just ignore the case sensitivity. So that's the difference. So let us see these methods. Caret, contains, equals, equals ignore space, equals ignore case. There are four methods. Now let us see how this will go. So the first method is caret. So what this caret method will do? It will give the character on specific index. So here s is equal to, I'll say a welcome. So again I reassign the welcome value. So here I will use s dot caret of, I'll just give some index called 3. So what this will return now? So index is start from 0 here. 0, 1, 2 and 3. So this will return C. So just put that into system.out.println s dot character of 3. Now when I run this, this will give you character which is present in the third position in the index of 3. Okay, suppose when I say 4 here, and this will give you 0. So that's O is the fourth position. Okay, so this will return a character based on the index. It returns character based on index number, and here index will start from 0. Okay, remember this. And the next method is contains. Next method is contains will verify whether string is present in the main string or not. So let me write. So here I already have a variable. I'll redefine this. How to use the contains method. So let's say s is equal to welcome. Now I want to verify s dot contains, and here I will say wel, so the first letter is uppercase letter. So this will return either true or false. If this wel is present inside the string, it will return true or false. So let's print this value. System.out.println, I'll say s dot contains of welcome. Now let's run this. It will give you true because this is present here. Suppose when I say w here, same string, again I'm writing this time, and here I'll pass only w. Now you can see here this will returns the false. And not only first characters, you can also give last characters also. So for example, if I say COM, middle characters also if give, but you need to give a sequence manner. You should not give like WEME. You should not give like that. Sequence of characters you have to say. So COM is a part of this string. So this will also return a true. Okay, so this is how we need to verify whether the string is present in the contains or not. These are all case sensitive, as I said. So that's the reason I passed two different values here. One is uppercase, one is a lowercase. Okay, so this is a contains method. Contains method always returns true. Always returns true. I'm not writing a detailed description here because I'm going to send this presentation with you guys. Okay, just you can watch this. Okay, I'm not going to write anything. So contains method. The next one is equals and equals ignore case. Let us see equals and ignore. What is the use of equals and equals ignore case? Comparing strings. we can compare the strings by using equals and equals ignore case. So first let's see equals method. Equals. So here I will take two strings. Let's say s is equal to uh, welcome. Okay, this is one string, and we say s1, and I'll take one more string. S1 is already created string, right? So that's the reason I am not giving anything. Or else say s is equal to welcome. S1 is equal to take one more way, or else we don't require. You can directly pass it here. So this is a string. I want to compare equality. So how to do that? S dot equals, and here one more thing here is, if you want to pass a string variable, you don't need to use quotations here. Okay. And for example, let's say one more string I have called s1 here. Okay, this is another string. So if you want to compare these two, okay, directly you can say s dot equals of s1. This is the right notation. Okay, and suppose you don't have this variable, if you want to directly pass this value, then you have to put in the double quotes like this. Okay, that's the difference. If you want to pass direct value, you don't need to variable here. Now observe this. So s contains welcome. So I'll just say this is uppercase letter. Now s dot equals of welcome. So this is exactly same as this one. So what this will return now? It will returns true. So let's print that value. System dot out dot println of s dot equals of welcome. Okay, so this will return true because both are exactly the same. So now I'll just change it. Okay, so as I said, spaces, right? So I'll just give some space here, and then it will returns false. It returns false because space is considered. Now similarly, I will give lowercase letters. This is also case sensitive, as I said, right? So when I say welcome all lowercase letters, and also it will false. Okay, so all these things are false. It will return false, and this will also return false. Only this one returns true. Okay, if you use equals method, and same thing I will do for equals ignore case. So what I will do is same. I'll use the same statements. Okay, so I'll use this statement here, but instead of equals, not this one, I will take this one. Okay, so if I say equals method, here I pass lowercase letters, it is false. Okay, that is true because both are not equal, because this is a case sensitive. This is a uppercase letter W and this is a lowercase letter. But instead, if I want to ignore this case sensitivity, then I can use equals ignore case. This is the method I have to use. And now this time it should return true because it will just ignore the case sensitivity. Now when I run this, it will give you true. Okay, that's the difference between equals and equals ignore case. Equals and equals ignore case. Okay, so guys, I got it how to use these methods. Caret, contains, equals, and equals ignore case. Now we have another method. I will finish it another 5 minutes. Okay, so we have another method called as a replace. So the replace method can be used in two different ways. One is, in this particular string we can replace few characters. Suppose I want to replace E with A. So wherever E comes, I want to replace with A. So we can replace characters. How to use this? S is a string, so S dot replace of wherever E occurred, I want to replace with A. Now after replacing, the output will be like this. So replace A here and A here. That is replacing of characters. And we can also replace the sequence of characters. So for example here, this is the one more string I have, welcome to Java. So in this I want to replace complete Java with Selenium. So what I can write is s dot replace, just put whatever string you are going to replace, and comma the new string, and then it will replace Java with Selenium, and the final string will be like this, welcome to Selenium. So replace is a method which is used in two different ways. One is replacing of characters and replacing of sequence of characters in the same string. That's a replace method. Now let's see here. replacing characters using replace method. So for example, I have a string called s is equal to, okay, welcome to Java. So this is my string. So I will use a replace method. So replace s dot replace, and first I will replace characters. Okay, wherever o comes, okay, I will replace with the characters, means we have to put in the single quotations, not in the double quotes. Okay, I want to replace o with I want to replace with I, some other variable. Okay, I want to replace wherever o occurs, only two times it is occurred, here and here. I want to replace with I, and then print the overall value. System dot out dot println s dot replace of this one. Now run this. You can see here, wherever o comes, that is replaced with I. This is a replaced string. This is the output you will get from this. Now I want to replace the characters. Just a moment. So now I want to replace the sequence of characters. Suppose I want to replace Java with Selenium. So how to replace s dot replace of, and this is the string, so what we need to put in the double quotes, Java. I want to replace this another string called as a Selenium. Okay, this will replace. So now put that into system dot out dot println s dot replace Java with Selenium. Now what is the final string you will get? Instead of Java, we will get as a Selenium. This is a output message. Okay. So this is how we need to use replace method. This is another method we have. Equals, equal case, and replace. And the next one, we have very important method called substring. So you need to carefully understand this. Substring will a method which will retrieve a substring of a whole string. Okay, suppose I want to capture first three characters or last three characters or middle two letters. I want to extract some substring from the main string. I can use a substring method. Now observe this carefully. So if you want to use this substring method, we need to pass two indexes value. So starting index and ending index. Starting index and ending index. Two parameters I need to pass. And based upon these indexes values, it will retrieve that particular substring. Now let's see how to use this. So whenever you are providing the starting index, we need to count from 0. Remember this. Whenever we want to provide a starting index, we need to count from 0. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, something like that. And the ending index, if you want to provide for the same string, you need to start from 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, like this. So this is the ending index, this is the starting index. This is the thumb rule, just remember this. So starting index will start from 0, ending index will start from 1. So if whenever you want to count from the index starting index, you need to start from 0. And if you want to count ending index, you need to start from 1. Okay, remember this. Now, so this is my string, s is equal to welcome. I have used like this, s dot substring of 1 comma 3. So 1 is a starting index. See, we need to verify here. Where is the 1? Here it is a 1. Now 3 is ending index. So ending index means here we need to verify 3. So between 1 and 3, what are the characters we have? E, L. So E is starting from 1. L is comes here 3. So E, L. So these are the only two letters we have between 1 and 3. So it returns E, L. Again, one more example. So when I say welcome here, so substring of 0 comma 4 I have given. So 0 is a starting index. So here. And 4 is the ending index. Here. So between 0 and 4, what are the characters we have? W, E, L, C. So W, E, L, C is written. And then one more example. So I say 2 comma 4. 2 is a starting index, 4 is the ending index. So starting index is 2. So here it is. And ending index 4. So here it is. Between 2 and 4, what are characters we have? L and C. L and C we have. Okay, this is how we need to return. Now you guys should tell. I want to capture O, M, E, last three letters. So how we can write starting index and ending index? Substring. So can anyone guess? I want to retrieve O, M, E, three characters. What is the starting index? What is the ending index? So Justin saying 4 comma 7, Preeti is saying 4 comma 7. Okay, so let's see 4 comma 7. When I say 4 representing the starting index, so where is 4 here? 0 1 2 3 4, this is the 4, and 7 is the ending index. So 7 means 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 is the ending index. So between these 4 and 7 we have O, M and E. So this is right. So this is how we need to use substring method. Okay, now let's write this. So S is equal to, let's say, welcome. Now I'll use a substring method here. How to use S dot substring of starting index and ending index. Suppose when I say 0 comma 4, I'll give, so 0 comma 4. So put that into system dot out dot println S dot substring 0 comma 4. Now let's see what this will return. Yes, it returns WLC. WLC is written. This is the one. So you can just try with multiple examples, whatever I have given in my presentation. So you can try all these examples later. Okay. So substring is a method which will give a substring of a string. Okay. Extracting substring from the main string. Okay. So this is about a substring method. So next we have a last method called to lowercase to uppercase. So to lowercase is a method which will convert uppercase into lowercase letters, and to uppercase will convert lowercase into uppercase letters. Okay, so you can have any lowercase, uppercase, whatever you have, doesn't matter. But when I use lowercase method, this will automatically converts into lowercase, and uppercase method will convert into uppercase letters. These are two methods we have. Let me just show you quickly. And converting case. So let's say here I have all uppercase letters. Now I want to convert into lowercase. So S dot to lowercase, and just print this bar. System dot out dot println S dot to lowercase. Okay, now run this. Now it will give you all in lowercase letters. Okay, suppose I have a string called S is equal to in lowercase letters. These are all lowercase letters. Now use the same statement. This time I use uppercase, to uppercase. Now this will give you all characters in uppercase letter. Okay, this is a case conversion. So these are very important methods, and in going further we are going to use these methods to perform certain kind of validations in Selenium. So please practice all these methods, and these are all called string methods. So we have caret, contains, equals, equal ignore case, replace, and also length and concat. So these are there are n number of functions we have, hundreds of functions we have, but these are the very frequently used methods in automation. Okay. So that's all for today. So I'm going to show you what are assignments you have guys to do today is there are a lot of things. So in arrays concept, I have given 6 assignments. Okay, just read and each and every assignment, and try to do this to calculate sum of values in array. So if you have an array with some values, I need to find sum of all the values and set some specific element in an array. I want to find whether an element is number. Suppose I have an array like this. I have few elements, or let's say if you have 10 and 20, 30, so on. So I will take one number, whether this number is present inside the array or not. I need to verify. And then define an array with some string values. Write a Java program to set specific string and array. So similarly, I will take some string array, and this array contains a few strings, and I will take another string and I will compare with the string is present in this array or not. I will verify. So that's another assignment. And write a Java program to print even and odd numbers in an array. So just create an array which contains so many even numbers and some of them odd numbers. Have it, and then find out what are all even numbers and what are all odd numbers in this particular array. Just print them. Okay, that's another assignment. And the last fifth one is find greatest and smallest element in an array. So in array we have a few elements or numbers. Find out which one is greater, which one is lower in this particular array. That's another assignment. And the last one is write a program to add two matrices. So this is two-dimensional array we have to use. For example, here 2, 3, 4, 5. This is one array, two-dimensional array. There is another array called calls 2, 1, 3, 4. This is another two-dimensional array. So it's like a matrices, right? We need to add two matrices. So what is an output I should get if I add these two-dimensional array? 2 plus 2, I need to get 4. 3 plus 1, 3 plus 1, 4. And here 4 plus 3, 7. 5 plus 4, 5 plus 4, 9. So this is a outcome I need to get. This is again two-dimensional array. So this is a little bit complex. Just try it. I'll also copy the solution for this. Just go through it. Or if you're not understood, I will explain in this in the next session. Okay. So for every program, I will also copy the solutions, but don't see the solution at the beginning. First try yourself and don't search in Google itself. Okay. If you search in the Google, you will find the code, but you cannot understand anything from them. So first try yourself and then refer my solutions, and if still not clear, and let me know. Okay. So these are assignments for arrays concept. Now the next one is strings. So these are very simple. For all six, you can create only one program. It's very simple. Just create a Java program to compare two strings, ignore case differences. You have to use equals ignore case method. Then concatenate given string to end of the other string. This is concatenation. And this is finding the length of a string. And this is for substring. This is for converting case sensitive to upper and lower case letters. For all six, we can write a single program. It's very simple. And for arrays, you need to practice a lot. So in interview perspective also, these are very important. Okay. So that's all for today. I have taken a lot of time because this is a lengthy concept. I cannot split this into two different classes. So that's the reason I have completed this itself.